Zalara stared out of the small window of her ship, watching her home planet burn. The sky, once a bright blue, was now filled with dark smoke and flames. The Kraylan Empire had come to her peaceful world, and their ruthless invasion had started. The alien ships hovered in the sky, their weapons glowing ominously. Zalara felt her heart race with fear. She had heard stories about the Kraylans and their cruelty, but seeing it in person was different. She quickly activated her ship's systems, praying it would respond. Her hands shook as she pressed buttons, but nothing happened. Panic rose within her. "Come on! Please!" she begged the ship. Just then, a loud explosion shook the ground, and she felt the impact even inside her small vessel. The Kraylans were getting closer, and she knew she had to escape. Zalara took a deep breath and forced herself to focus. She remembered her father's words. Stay calm and think clearly. With renewed determination, she tried the ignition again. This time, the engine roared to life. Relief washed over her, but it was short-lived. She had to hurry. Zalara engaged the thrusters, and her ship lifted off the ground. As she soared into the sky, she glanced back at her home. Her heart ached as she saw the familiar hills and forests disappearing behind her. She felt alone with tears in her eyes. Zalara had lost her family, her friends, and her entire world. She couldn't understand why the Kraylans had attacked. Did they want her planet? Did they want her? The ship's control panel beeped, bringing her back to reality. The Kraylan ships were in hot pursuit, their dark silhouettes menacing against the burning sky. She felt a wave of panic as they closed in. Zalara quickly plotted a course for the nearby asteroid belt, hoping to lose them among the rocks. Come on, she whispered, urging her ship to go faster. The Kraylans fired their weapons, and blasts of light exploded around her. Zalara dodged left and right, her heart pounding in her chest. She could feel her breath quickening as fear gripped her. Just as she entered the asteroid field, her ship shuddered. One of the Kraylan blasts had hit her ship, and warning lights flashed across the panel. "No! Not now!" she cried, frantically trying to stabilize the controls. The ship began to spiral out of control, and she clenched her teeth, fighting to regain control. With a burst of courage, Zalara focused on the rocks surrounding her. She weaved between the asteroids, using every ounce of skill she had learned from her father. It was a risky move, but it was her only chance. The Kraylans were relentless, firing at her ship as she narrowly avoided collision with the jagged rocks. Suddenly, her ship's systems began to fail. "Please don't give up on me," she pleaded. She hit a button to send a distress signal, her last hope. She didn't know if anyone would hear her, but she had to try. As she sent the signal, her ship shuddered again. Lights flickered, and she felt herself drifting into darkness. "Is this it?" she thought. "Is this how it ends?" As Zalara's vision blurred, she caught a glimpse of a bright light cutting through the darkness. Was it hope, or was it the end? Her eyes fluttered shut, and she slipped into unconsciousness. Far away in the depths of space, a massive human warship known as the HSS Valkyrie picked up her distress signal. The crew, skilled and brave, prepared to answer the call. Unknown to Zalara, help was on the way. She had not lost everything after all. As the Valkyrie raced towards her location, Zalara's ship drifted in silence, lost among the asteroids. Hope flickered like a candle in the dark. Perhaps her story was not over yet. Perhaps she would find a way to fight back against the Kraylans and save her world. In that moment of darkness, a glimmer of hope remained. She just had to hold on a little longer. Zalara drifted in darkness, the sound of alarms fading into silence. She felt cold and alone, her mind racing with thoughts of her home. In her heart, she still held a flicker of hope that someone would find her. Just when she thought all was lost, a sudden jolt shook her ship and she opened her eyes. Bright lights flooded her vision and she squinted against the brightness. Was she dreaming? No. She was alive, and something was happening outside her ship. She struggled to sit up, her head spinning. Through the small window, she saw something enormous moving in the distance. It was a ship unlike any she had seen before. The HSS Valkyrie was massive, its sleek silver hull glimmering in the dark void of space. Zalara felt her heart race with a mix of fear and excitement. Could it be? She had heard stories about humans, brave warriors known for their fierce spirit and powerful ships. But why were they here? Did they come to help her? As the Valkyrie approached, she could see the Kraylan ships still searching for her. Their dark forms darted through the asteroid field. looking for any signs of her tiny craft. But the humans did not hesitate. The Valkyrie locked onto the Kraylan vessels with ease, its weapons charging up for an attack. Zalara watched in awe as the human ship moved with incredible speed and precision. It fired powerful blasts of energy at the Kraylan ships, lighting up the dark space around her. Each blast struck true, and she saw Kraylan vessels exploding in bursts of fire. The humans fought with skill and determination. She felt a rush of hope as she realized they were here to save her. Suddenly, a loud voice echoed in her ship. "This is Captain Marcus Hale of the HSS Valkyrie. We have detected your distress signal and are coming to your aid. Prepare for rescue!" Zalara's heart soared. They were here for her. She quickly hit the button on her control panel to respond. "I'm here. I'm alive!" Her voice shook with relief. "Please help me." The Valkyrie continued its assault on the Kraylan ships, expertly dodging their fire while closing in on Zalara's location. She could see the humans working together, their movements quick and organized. It was clear they were experienced fighters. In that moment, Zalara felt a bond with them, even though they were strangers. As the Valkyrie got closer, Zalara saw a large shuttle detach from the main ship. It glided towards her, its hull painted with the same silver sheen. Her heart raced as it approached her damaged ship. Would they really be able to rescue her? The shuttle docked with a loud clang, and Zalara felt a jolt. Moments later, the door opened, and 2 human crew members stepped inside. They were dressed in sleek uniforms, their faces focused and determined. One of them, a woman with short brown hair, quickly assessed the situation. "Zalara, right?" the woman asked. "We've got to get you out of here. The Kraylans won't stop coming." Zalara nodded, still in shock. "Yes, I'm Zalara. Thank you for coming. Let's move," the woman said urgently, motioning for Zalara to follow. The other crew member stood guard, watching for any Kraylan ships. Zalara stepped into the shuttle, and they closed the door behind her. Inside, the atmosphere was buzzing with energy. The humans were quick and efficient, preparing for takeoff. Zalara felt a sense of safety wash over her. She had escaped the Kraylans, at least for now. As the shuttle shot away from her damaged ship, Zalara watched through the window. The Valkyrie was still in the fight, its weapons blazing. She saw Kraylan ships retreating, and for the first time she felt a surge of hope. The humans were powerful allies, and perhaps they could help her find a way to stop the Kraylan Empire for good. As they soared through space, Zalara knew her life was about to change forever. She was no longer alone. The humans had come to her aid, and she felt grateful for their bravery. She hoped they would understand the strength within her, a strength that could help them defeat the Kraylans once and for all. In this moment, she felt a new sense of purpose. She was ready to fight alongside the humans and reclaim her home. Together, they could face whatever challenges lay ahead. As the shuttle raced away from the chaos of the asteroid field, Zalara sat strapped into her seat, still trying to process everything that had happened. The humans around her worked quickly, their fingers flying over the control panel. She felt a mixture of gratitude and confusion. Who were these brave warriors who had come to her rescue? "Hold on!" The pilot, a tall man named Lieutenant Cole, shouted as he maneuvered the shuttle. Zalara gripped her seat tightly as the shuttle made a sharp turn, avoiding a burst of energy from a Kraylan ship that had followed them. She could hear alarms blaring, but the crew remained calm, focused on their mission. The woman who had welcomed her aboard, Lieutenant Mira, turned to Zalara. "We're taking you to the Valkyrie. You'll be safe there." Zalara nodded, but her heart raced. Safe? How could she feel safe when the Kraylans were still out there, hunting her? "What about my home?" she asked, her voice shaking. "What will happen to my people?" Mira's expression softened. "We will help you, but first we need to get you to safety. Then we can plan our next move." Zalara took a deep breath, trying to calm herself. The truth was she needed to trust them. These humans had risked their lives to save her, and she had to believe they would help her fight back. After a tense few minutes, they finally docked with the HSS Valkyrie. As they stepped into the ship, Zalara was amazed by the sleek design and advanced technology. It felt alive, buzzing with energy and purpose. The crew moved with purpose, each person knowing their role. "Follow me," Mira instructed, leading Zalara through the corridors. They passed large screens showing maps and battle plans, and Zalara felt a wave of determination wash over her. These humans were ready to fight. As they entered the command center, Zalara's eyes widened. Captain Marcus Hale stood at the front, looking over a holographic display of the surrounding space. He glanced up and saw Zalara. "Welcome aboard, Zalara. I'm glad we could rescue you." "Thank you for coming for me," she said, her voice steady now. "But I need to know what we can do to stop the Kralins. They have destroyed my home." Hale nodded, his face serious. "We will do everything we can to help you. But first, we need to gather information on their movements. We believe they are planning another attack." Just then, a soft voice interrupted. "I may have something." A figure stepped forward from the shadows. It was a tall, slender alien with shimmering green skin and bright eyes that sparkled like stars. Zalara was taken aback. "Who was this being?" "Who are you?" Zalara asked, curiosity mingling with caution. "I am Lyra," the alien said, her voice smooth and calming. "I have been watching the Kralin Empire for a long time. I can help you understand their strategies and weaknesses." Zalara blinked in surprise. "But why would you help us? Aren't you afraid of them?" Lyra smiled gently. "The Kralins are a threat to all beings in this galaxy. I have lost many friends to their cruelty. I want to see them stop just as much as you do." Zalara felt a rush of hope. "Can you really help us?" "Yes," Lyra replied confidently. "I have a plan that could turn the tide in our favor. But it will require teamwork and trust among us all." Captain Hale nodded. "Then we need to hear your plan. We don't have much time." Lyra stepped closer to the holographic display, her finger tracing the Kralin ship's movements. "If we can distract them while we gather our forces, we may stand a chance. I can use my skills to create a false signal that will draw their attention away from you." Zalara listened intently, her heart racing. This was a chance. They could fight back against the Kralins, and it started here and now. "Count me in," she said, determination in her voice. "I will do whatever it takes to save my people." Mira smiled, a look of approval on her face. "Together we can make this work." With renewed hope, the team began to strategize. Zalara felt the weight of her loss beginning to lift. She was no longer alone, she had allies. As they worked together, plans started to take shape. They would face the Kralins together, and Zalara knew in her heart that she would fight with everything she had to reclaim her home. With the human warship and her new allies by her side, she felt ready to take on the world. Together, they would become a force to be reckoned with. The moment had come. Zalara stood on the bridge of the HSS Valkyrie, her heart pounding in her chest. The crew was busy preparing for the final battle against the Kralin Empire. After days of planning, they were ready to strike. Zalara looked around at her new friends, Captain Hale, Lieutenant Mira, and Lyra. Each one was focused and determined, but Zalara could see a hint of tension in their eyes. "Are we ready?" Hale asked, his voice steady and calm. He looked at each crew member, ensuring they were all on the same page. Mira nodded, her hands gripping the control panel. "We are ready, Captain. The Kralins will never see us coming." Lyra pointed to the holographic display showing the Kralin fleet's position. "They are focused on the false signal I sent. We have a small window to attack." Zalara took a deep breath, trying to calm her nerves. She had trained with the crew, learning how to fight and how to navigate the ship. This was her chance to prove herself. "Let's do this!" she said, her voice filled with determination. "Engage!" Hale commanded, and the Valkyrie shot forward into the depths of space. As they approached the Kralin ships, Zalara felt a rush of adrenaline. She had never fought in a battle before, but she was ready. The crew worked as a team, each person knowing their role. The ship was alive, humming with energy and purpose. Suddenly, the Kralins realized they had been tricked. Alarms blared as they scrambled to defend themselves. The Kralin ships began to turn, but it was too late. The Valkyrie was already on the attack. "Firing weapons!" Mira shouted, her fingers flying over the controls. Energy blasts shot from the ship, striking the nearest Kralin vessel. It exploded in a brilliant flash of light. Zalara cheered as she watched the destruction unfold. "We can do this!" she yelled, feeling the thrill of battle course through her. But the Kralins were not giving up easily. They began to return fire, their own energy blasts lighting up the dark space. The ship shook as hits landed on the Valkyrie's shields. "Status report!" Hale shouted. "Shields at 70%, Mira responded, her voice tense but focused. "We can't take too many more hits." Zalara felt a wave of fear wash over her. "What can I do to help?" she asked, desperate to contribute. "Man the secondary weapons," Hale instructed. "We need all hands on deck." Zalara jumped into action, her training kicking in. She activated the secondary weapon systems, aiming at an approaching Kraylan ship. Her heart raced as she pressed the firing button, sending a blast of energy toward the enemy. The shot struck true, and the Kraylan ship exploded in a fiery burst. "Nice shot," Mira called out, her voice filled with excitement. Zalara smiled, feeling a surge of confidence. "Let's keep going!" As the battle raged on, the crew of the Valkyrie worked together seamlessly. Lyra used her alien abilities to manipulate the ship's energy, enhancing their shields and power. The Kraylan ships were powerful, but the humans were determined. One by one, they took down the enemy vessels. "Focus on the flagship!" Hale commanded. "That's where their leader is." Zalara nodded, her heart pounding as they moved toward the massive Kraylan flagship. It loomed before them, a dark shadow in space. The ship fired at them, but the Valkyrie dodged and weaved, avoiding the blasts. "Now!" Hale shouted. "Give it everything we've got." Mira unleashed a barrage of energy blasts, while Zalara aimed their secondary weapons. They fired relentlessly, targeting the flagship's weak points. The Kraylan ship shuddered, but it fought back, returning fire with intense blasts. Zalara felt the ship shake violently as they took hits. "We can't hold out much longer," she yelled, panic creeping into her voice. "Trust your training," Hale shouted. "We can do this together." With a fierce determination, Zalara took a deep breath and focused. She lined up another shot and fired with all her strength. The energy blast hit the flagship's engine room, causing a massive explosion. "Direct hit!" Mira exclaimed, her eyes wide with excitement. The Kraylan flagship began to break apart, debris flying in all directions. Zalara felt a wave of relief wash over her. They had done it. As the last of the Kraylan ships fell, cheers erupted on the bridge of the Valkyrie. Zalara felt a sense of victory unlike anything she had ever known. They had fought together, and they had won. "Great job, team," Hale said, his voice filled with pride. "We have sent a message to the Kraylans. We will not be defeated." Zalara smiled, knowing that she had found her place among these brave warriors. Together, they had changed the course of the battle, and now they could begin the fight to reclaim her home. In the aftermath of the battle, the crew of the HSS Valkyrie gathered in the command center, a mix of exhaustion and exhilaration hanging in the air. Zalara stood among them, her heart still racing from the adrenaline of the fight. They had emerged victorious against the Kraylan Empire, but now she felt the weight of what lay ahead. "Today we showed them the strength of unity," Captain Hale said, his voice strong and confident. "But this is just the beginning. We must regroup and plan our next steps carefully." Zalara looked around at her new friends, the humans who had become her allies in this fight. She had never felt such a bond with anyone before. They were not just a crew, they were a family, ready to face any challenge together. "Captain, what do we do next?" Mira asked, her brow furrowed in thought. Hale turned to the holographic display, where the Kraylan fleet's movements were still visible. "We need to gather more intel on the Kraylans. They will regroup and strike back. We have to be prepared." Lyra stepped forward, her glowing green skin shimmering in the light. "I have contacts in the outer colonies. I can reach out and find out what the Kraylans are planning." "Good idea," Hale replied, nodding. "The more we know, the better we can prepare." As they discussed their next moves, Zalara felt a deep sense of purpose swelling inside her. The battle had ignited something within her, a power she had never realized she possessed. She had fought bravely, but there was more she could do. She remembered the stories of her ancestors, tales of warriors who had protected their people. "Captain, can I talk to you for a moment?" Zalara asked, stepping away from the group. Hale raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "Of course, Zalara. What's on your mind?" "I want to help more," she said, her voice steady. "I've trained with the crew, but I feel like I can do something greater. I need to learn about the Kraylans, their weaknesses, and how to use that knowledge to protect my people." Hale studied her for a moment, then nodded. "I see the fire in you, Zalara. We all do. You've already proven yourself in battle. If you want to learn, I'll make sure you have the training and resources you need." "Thank you, Captain," she replied, a smile spreading across her face. "I will not let you down." As she returned to the command center, Zalara felt more determined than ever. She joined the others, ready to absorb every bit of knowledge she could. They discussed battle strategies, analyzed Kraylan tactics, and shared stories of their past experiences. Days turned into weeks as they trained and prepared. Zalara spent hours in the ship's training room, honing her combat skills and learning how to pilot the ship. She discovered a strength within herself that she had never tapped into before. With each passing day, she grew more confident, and her bond with the crew deepened. One evening, as Zalara practiced her moves, Mira joined her. "You've improved so much," she said, watching Zalara with admiration. "I can see the determination in you. You're becoming a true warrior." "Thank you, Mira," Zalara replied, wiping the sweat from her brow. "I want to be strong enough to protect my home and everyone I care about." "You will be," Mira assured her. "But remember, it's not just about strength. It's also about using your mind and instincts." Zalara nodded, realizing that Mira was right. She needed to be smart about her decisions. As they trained, Zalara felt a new surge of energy within her. It was as if the spirit of her ancestors was guiding her, urging her to embrace her destiny. One day, during a training session, Lyra approached them. "I have gathered information from my contacts. The Kralins are planning a major assault on the outer colonies. We need to act quickly." Zalara's heart raced. "What can we do?" Hale stepped in. "We'll take the fight to them. If we can disrupt their plans, we can protect those colonies and send a strong message to the Krylons." The crew sprang into action, preparing the Valkyrie for another battle. Zalara felt a sense of purpose fill her. This was her chance to make a difference, to show her people that she was not just a refugee but a warrior. As the Valkyrie flew toward the Krylan stronghold, Zalara stood at the front of the ship, her heart pounding with excitement and fear. She had come so far, and now she was ready to fight for her home, her family, and the future of her people. "Together we will prevail," she shouted, the crew echoing her words, their spirits united. The power within her burned brightly, and she knew that together they would face whatever came next. The fight was far from over, but they were ready.